Welcome to the Bonacci Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Bonacci. Today, I am joined by Season 1 winner of The Ultimate Fighter, former UFC light heavyweight champion, and UFC Hall of Famer, Mr. Forrest Griffin.
What's going on? Great to see you. Great to be here. Great to
Likewise.
reconnect.
Yes, been 8 years.
Okay, yeah.
Since you gave me that incredible tour of the UFC PI.
Performance Institute, and we do, most things have probably changed since then, you know?
Well, I got to go back.
Yeah, you really should come through and just talk through our systems when you get a chance and, you know, kind of tell you what everybody does now and how it's changed. And we have like doctors on staff. They can write for imaging. They do so much more, honestly, so much more than I ever envisioned. So just kind of jump right into it here.
Let's do it.
When we were building that place, I give all the credit in the world to this guy named Randy Couture, because in 2007, he opened Extreme Couture, the building we're currently in, and he had you, a real live actual strength coach with a CSCS that got a master's in strength and conditioning, that was doing strength and conditioning for the sport of MMA. Now, when I worked with you, a lot of times I didn't think it was enough, because you were working around my MMA training. And I was like, but I don't feel like I'm going to die. Why don't I feel like I'm going to die? Shouldn't I feel like I'm going to die in training? But yeah, you feel like you're going to die, and then you grapple like shit the next morning. I was like, I don't know why. So he had that. He had physical therapy, still here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he brought physical therapy. Those guys did movements. They came in, they did a 6-week study on us where they stretched us post workout. And that was actually like that. I don't even know what the fancy word for the stretching is. It was a whole thing, body work, whatever. I thought it was awesome. And then after the 6-week study, they were like, yeah, so do you guys want to pay to do it? And we were like, no. It was great when it was free and it was part of a trial. But no, we don't want to. Good luck with the study, though. And then he actually had a nutrition bar here when he first opened. Do you remember?
Yeah, we remember.
And turns out, once again, I'll double down on Fighters Are Cheap, and you know, it's now a pro shop, you know, a gear shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody. Oh, I gotta pay.
Yeah.
For the, you know, and Fighters Are Cheap. People barely wanted to pay their $100 a month. It's $100 a month to come and be a part of like the best team
in the world
on earth at 2007, 2006, 7, 8. I mean, we had it going on in here.
Absolutely.
You know, and one of the great things that you can never take from Vegas, you know, because I'm Vegas through and through, is so much talent comes through here. So I got to work with Josh Barnett, the people that came through and you work with and you spar with and you drill with, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, even if they're only in town for a week. And then, you know, me, there is a little bit of altitude here. It's dry. People are from a different time zone. So I would always jump people the first or second day they were here.
Smart.
You know, and I kind of get in their heads.
Yeah.
And I would take advantage of most people. The only guy I'll ever say that didn't work for was Hector Lombard. He came in, him, and Tim Crater grappled for an hour straight, 2 and 2, but bang, bang. We're all three laying there on the mat. It's a fucking great workout, feeling great. His boxing coach finally shows up, Hector's boxing coach, who was supposed to be here, and he hops up and starts cracking the mitts like you wouldn't believe. And me and Tim just lay at each other. We're laying on the ground still, like, great, you know. And we just look at each other, it's like, man, that motherfucker ain't built like us, bro. Like, he's got an extra gear. He probably had some extra gear, but whatever he was doing, it works. He got up and he was hitting the mitts with intensity after like literally an hour plus of hard live goes, wrestling, grappling, to the point where we had to stop wrestling because the mat was too wet.
Yeah.
You know? And it was like, all right, we just got to start on the ground now because we're all falling down. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's funny, you know, you hear guys talk about the heyday of Vegas and Extreme Couture, and you can't undersell it. Like, this was the place to be. This was the movement. This was that moment. You were here. You were part of it. You saw all the people come in, the Vittors, everybody, the Vanderleys, who, you know, and you know, the gym business is Drysdale. Mm-hmm. The gym business is weird. They start their own gyms everywhere, and it's, you know, it's a weird ecosystem. It's like, you come to Vegas, Vanderlei, to start your gym?
was here. Mario Sperry was here. I'm just trying to think of all the other guys that were.
Oh, I never worked with Sperry. That would have been an honor.
A bit.
Bustamante, Murillo Bustamante came to our gym over when it was, I don't know, it's Syndicate now. I don't know what the name of it was then. And I grappled with McGee, and that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was fucking embarrassing. And I was supposed to be like a brown belt, and it was just like, I just never wanted to grapple again, let alone put a gi on again. I was like, I shouldn't even be doing this. I should go see if I get a job as a cop. That guy beat me up so bad in a gi. I was like, holy shit. But anyway, the point of it is there's just so much talent coming through. So you could get so many looks. Yeah. And then the coaches, we had great coaches. And some of them I wish we would have had for longer, but it was always sometimes there was a little bit of a coaching carousel in MMA, I feel like. But you get new cool stuff. And it was almost nice. It was like Thompson's came in, and it was like, okay, this is like, we're doing almost like, this is fun.
Sean Tompkins.
Yeah, this is different, this is a little different. And, he had the one crazy tall Muay Thai coach that trained him. And smoked cigarettes. That's what I remember about him. But then all of a sudden, we're doing like 15 minutes of jump rope every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I guess practice is a little longer now because we got to jump rope for 15. But it was, it was just a lot of different looks, different experiences, and it keeps things fresh too when you get that new coach in. Sometimes you need to kind of move on from a gym. But maybe you don't need to move on from a gym if the coaching comes in and changes a little bit,
And like you said, that did happen periodically here. Different coaches took over, but...
Did you have a question, or should I just keep talking forever?
I'm all about you rambling. It's awesome. Love it. I saw you finish this. I'm like, let's go.
Guy, he's crushed. He's pounded.
Did I spell your name right on it?
Who knows?
No, they didn't. Look at that, 1 R.
I'm not picky. I'm not picky at all.
Neither are we. We flew Spirit Airlines last night.
Oh, God bless you. Seriously, that's.
Here's the deal with Spirit.
Okay.
You know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
When you fly them. It was last minute. I just called you like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So it's last minute. You're flying Spirit. Like, if you have high expectations, that's on you.
Yeah.
If anything goes right, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
I mean, like I tell my wife, low expectations is the key to happiness. But with that said, I'm good. Better you than me, man.
Yeah. Well, we're here. We made it. But yeah, I originally met you in 2007 when I came out for when I got hired by Randy to be the strength coach here. We did some work towards the end of your career more.
It's in the middle.
Middle end.
Yeah.
But I actually met you before 2007.
Like a fan thing or something, right?
No. I was in Vegas I was in college at the time, and it was a boys' weekend trip.
Okay.
Martin Luther King weekend. And I was at the Center Bar at the Hard Rock.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever told you this.
No, I've never heard this.
Yeah. And I looked over, and this is probably 2006, I'm thinking. Just turned 2006.
Yeah.
And I look over, and I see like a bigger dude with like a ridiculous Hawaiian button-up shirt on. So it got my attention.
I was single at the time. You got to peacock a little bit,
Yeah, I get it. And I look over, I'm like, holy cow, that's Forrest Griffin. And he had just done the show and everything. So I went over there. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? And asked you for some probably stupid fan questions.
Probably, yeah.
And, but you like
I probably had a decent buzz on, so
you were drinking some beers? Yeah, so did I, whatever. And you answered whatever the heck I asked you. I walked back to my group of buddies, and I'm like, I don't know what's cooler, the fact that he answered some random fans' questions, or the fact that he's willing to rock that shirt right now.
Yeah.
Because it was a great look.
Yeah. That sounds very Forrest Griffin.
Yeah.
Circuit, mid-aughts, man, people, and another thing. So Extreme Couture, we talked about it being the shit. And then it kind of like went down, and now it's the shit again.
Yeah.
It's the place to be. Eric, the team, there's a great team. There's tons of talent in the room.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not for the Hard Rock. The Hard Rock was the place to
Center Bar.
Center Bar, Hard
awesome.
Rock. It was so great.
I agree.
And now,
it's gone though. It's not
it died. It's Virgin or something,
Yeah.
and they tried, but it died before that though, because they kept trying to add to it, make it better. But what's special about it was that it was very weird. It was intimate. It was, and you just see like I've met so many famous people there. had no idea who I was, and I was like, "You from that show?" It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it was weird.
Yeah, the Hard Rock Center Bar was my favorite.
Yeah,
Coming
that
here
was-
to town, that was a staple. You had to go there.
Yeah.
Very sad to see that that's gone. Well, I don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
Married a
It
couple
couldn't
kids.
couldn't affect me less.
Yeah, but it was cool. It lasted. You're originally from Georgia. What sports did you play growing up as a kid?
I played football, basketball, a little bit of track, and when I say track, we had a pretty good football program. So if you were on play football, you did track basically as your preseason conditioning.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did run the 400. I was, you know, technically the 400 guy. I don't know how many times my junior year. I didn't play anything my senior year. I quit in the middle of. Well, I don't think I did track because it was the last at the end of the year. But and I was working already. But my junior year, I think I did run start at the 400 once as our guy.
Did you do anything in college or no?
That's my story. I tried to go play football at the University of Georgia. And I realized, you know, I was walking on and I was like, whoa. And, you know, they give me pads and everything. And they're like, oh, yeah, get after it. You're 240 pounds almost. You run a 4.73 and, you know, it's not bad. And, you know, they did like maybe 16 reps on 225. You know, I don't know the other tests they did, but I did like okay. I did shit on the agility tests. But I had like studied for the lifting and the 40, but I hadn't really done much work on the agility test, just even as far as what cone you touch. Anyway, obviously not a scholarship guy. They were assholes about it. They really downed us. Like, you know, the practice squad or whatever. And I was like, all right, this isn't for me. And I saw some guys wrestling, and it was like a club wrestling team. I was like, well, I kind of wrestled. I didn't really because it was during basketball season, but I kind of would mess around. And, you know, I was like, all right, well, they didn't have a heavyweight at Greco. Remember, this is a club team.
Yeah.
And so we go, and we were actually competing against scholarship teams as a club team. Like the only thing we got was we got shoes and like jerseys. And like, oh my God. And then it was weird because at UGA, fencing's huge, and the person that donated a lot of money was fencing. So we'd always be sitting outside when it was our practice time because fencing would run late, and there's nothing we could do about it. It was like, you know, the roll of mats out because we use the same space as the fencing team.
Yeah,
you know,
that's funny.
Yeah, it was so weird. But you know, big donors, right? And I forget. You know, honestly, don't even remember the order.
So you were done with football. You went to.
I just started wrestling.
You
on
started
the club
wrestling
team
in the
for
club.
shits and giggles, and then I saw Adam and Roy, the hardcore gym. I saw some guys fighting in a room, and I thought that looks cool. I want to do that. I ran into another guy that I knew from the weight room, maybe from I don't know what, and I was like, "Hey, what's up with that thing?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, you can just come, just sign a waiver and come." I went in, and I was like, I mean, I was a big guy. I was athletic. I could dunk a basketball from the dotted line. Every Sunday I'd run a 6-minute mile. I don't know why. It was just a thing. If you can run a 6-minute mile, you're in good shape. That was my thing.
Yeah.
And especially if you can do that almost 240 pounds.
That's impressive.
And yeah, I went and I got my ass whooped. Like I got my ass whooped. I couldn't breathe. It was horrible. Now, I had seen the UFC in high school. One day we locked our shop teacher out of class and we watched like UFC 2 and 3 in the middle of the class.
Yeah.
On those like the TVs that you slide, they're like strapped down.
Yeah.
And so the shop teacher's at the door, like, let me in, and we're watching the UFC, and I was like, this is stupid. It was like a fat guy. It was, you know, it was only like 3 years later, but it's a guy with a mullet. If you're coming, bring it on.
Yeah.
And it was like, fuck is this horse shit?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was happening, and the punches looked sloppy, and it was like, this is the worst boxing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The guy shows up with one glove. You're like, what the hell is happening here? So I think it was like UFC 1 and 3 we watched, and I thought they were just dumb.
Yeah.
And then I started doing it, and my friend was like, yeah, this is like for the UFC. And I was like, oh, I don't really like the UFC. And he's like, no, check out the UFC. So I went.
So you're watching the UFCs at school when you locked your shop teacher out.
Yeah, it looks stupid.
You watch 1 and 3, made no sense, kind of a freak show.
Dumb. Yeah, this is stupid. Why would anybody want to do this? This is like a dude in pajamas. I didn't know what that was going on.
Yeah.
It looked dumb. You know, the walkouts are promo. I always hated pro wrestling too. And I was like, this is like worse than pro wrestling. What is this shit? And so my friend was like, no, you don't get it. This is awesome. And I was like, so I went, I found, I want to say UFC 15, Randy Couture, Vitor Belfort. I watched it and I said, oh, I get it. That is the ultimate form of human competition. That is what everybody does, what everybody thinks, is, the oldest sport in time, made as safe as it's meant to be, and there it is. And it shockingly just happened to be Randy Couture. And I was like, okay, I get this. I was like, I would do this if they just stopped wearing tights, Randy's shorts ripped in that fight, and he had red underwear on. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, the whole event was pretty good, and you could tell they were professionals. They were. The punches looked a lot better. They, by today's standards, they probably look bad.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was like, oh, okay, that's it. That's what I want to do. Now I get it. And then it just clicked. It was like, oh, I want to do this. And I got obsessed. I got addicted, And like I tell everybody, and this is good advice for you at 13, I dropped out of school, quit my job, broke up with my girlfriend. I laid all other matters aside and tried to become a professional fighter. And then I ended up broken, and living on my coach's living room floor on a mattress with no money, no ride, nothing.
Wow.
So it was great. Follow your dreams, kids. You too could end up on your friend's living room. And I wasn't even I tried to get on WIC, food stamps, and it's like they make it kind of hard.
Really?
I was like, am I too stupid to get on food stamps? How am I so dumb? I can't figure out how to get on free food stamps. Like, what the fuck? How am I so dumb? Because you got to go down to the office. At that point, you had to go down to the office. This is 2002. You had to go figure out how to go down to the office and fill out the paperwork. And
So you're done at University of Georgia.
I wasn't graduated.
Yeah, you didn't graduate.
I was still taking classes one off.
Okay.
I graduated college. I graduated from the university in 2004 and 5.
Okay.
By chance. All right, so the only reason why I graduated is because I broke my arm, and I was working as a bouncer, and I was fighting, and I couldn't fight. Or no, maybe it was my hand. I broke my hand. I had to get pins in it. I was working as a bouncer. Well, you can't bounce with a cast on your hand. And I was fighting, and you can't fight with broken hands. So I was like, shit, I need money. So I went back to school full time and took a full load of courses so I could get all the money, the stipend to live on. And that was the second time I did that. The first time I took out student loans, withdrew from all my classes and bought myself a new hand because I didn't have any insurance, and I couldn't get Medicaid to cover the surgery on the hand. They'll not let you die, but I needed, I got 7 pins. They wouldn't do it. So I took out the student loans and I bought myself a new hand. Great investment. And then the second time I just went and, took out all the student loans, everything, and just lived off that. And I did end up graduating though. And then when I graduated, I ended up, getting another job in law enforcement.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I never knew any of that. That's funny.
Yeah. The only reason I finished college and got a degree was because I broke something in a fight and I couldn't do anything else. And I was like, what is there to do?
Yeah.
I need money. Oh, school will still give you money.
That sucks when you got to pay that back, right?
I paid it back after my first UFC fight.
Yeah.
So the fight after Stefan, I paid it.
Bill Mahood?
Bill Mahood. I think it was $6 or $8 grand I owed. I paid it back that day.
Nice.
Yeah, I hate having any debt. I hate a car payment. I hate anything.
I was wondering, did you bring the Scion here?
No. The Scion died.
It did?
Did. We
Did
didn't
you drive it to death?
So
just to be, you won the Scion.
I won the Scion in 2005, and that's a funny story in and of itself. Because by the time I met my wife, and which I'm trying to court her, I tell her that I've won a car. No, I got a car, but it took me 6 months to get it because they sent it to Georgia. I was like, well, I'm here right now, and then I went to Georgia. And I swear to God, they moved. They were like, well, it's in Vegas for you to pick up. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? So I didn't have a car for 6 months. So I'm living on a mattress. I still live in Georgia, really, training in Georgia. And I was like, no, I got a car. I want to show. You imagine, nobody believed it. The girls did not believe it. We're like, yeah, you got a car. You're such a loser. It's like, no. I just got this money from this show. They haven't sent it to me yet. I'm like, what a loser I sounded like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But
so Scion died.
So I did, well, me and Stefan got a deal to do, we got a 2-year deal to do Nissan commercials and stuff for United Nissan locally. So we got free cars. We got free leases for 2 years. So, and my father-in-law, excuse me, his car had just broken down at that time. So I gave him Scion. He loved it. And then after like 18 months, I couldn't ask for it back.
So that's where it went.
So
Because I remember when we were training, you were
yeah,
still
all the time.
Yeah, that was
all
it.
the time.
Never even like bothered to tint the windows when we're in Vegas.
Yeah, no,
Just went with it.
yeah, it was, I'm not a car guy. Couldn't care less.
Got it.
Point A to point B.
So when you got off, or before going on the show, you were a police officer.
Yes.
Full time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And did you think that was your career? That was going to be it?
Oh yeah. I was even looking to like get a master's in public administration. I had flirted with the idea of going to law school. I wanted to get in federal law enforcement, and I had a plan. Even like with the UFC as part of the plan, my plan was to work a couple years, try to get in the UFC, maybe fight for like 5 years, and then go back and work for some high-speed Atlanta department, which would be easier now that I had a couple years as a sheriff's department on my resume, and then quit that and teach defensive tactics for, ever. Because they had in defensive tactics the Gracie Grapple program. And I had already wrestled and done a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I was just starting at the same time as that I was in the academy. And so when you're good at something, so I'm, again, I was 20 in the police academy, so I'm throwing everybody around. I'm just like so athletic, and then I know a little something, so everybody's like, wow, this kid.
Did they like, the police department was cool with you taking fights while you were working?
I worked nights, and even when, yes and no, 2001, they kind of weren't cool with it, but they secretly kind of liked it. So there was a case they thought was a rape case, and they were just like, it was at a fraternity house, and they had a bunch of unruly, and they're like, get Forrest over here. And I was basically, they brought me in to be the goon. And I was like, I'll fuck any of y'all up. Y'all just sit against that wall. If anybody does anything, I will put, So I was on the crowd control team. So they're like, we got a guy who can fight. They like the idea of it.
Because you had a handful of fights before even going on the show. You fought Dan Severn, right?
Yeah, I mean,
first fight. You fought Jeremy Horn. You fought.
I had my first 6 fights aren't even on my record.
Oh, really?
Tournaments, yeah, heavyweight. I count them because I got paid for them. Only the winner of the tournament. You had to win 4 fights and you got paid. I won them all.
No money to go down.
So, but it was the UFC model. 50,000 for first place, 0 for anything else. So it was like $200 first place, 0 for anything else.
Yeah.
And then by the time you take your team to Taco Bell, it's like, well, you didn't make any money.
Yeah.
It was literally Taco Bell because that's what they had.
Did you keep the police job even when you were in the UFC?
No.
So when you got on the show, was that it?
I quit for the Ultimate Fighter, and I had worked there 11 months and 8 days. And to be eligible for rehire, you had to do a year. So I would not have been eligible for rehire.
Oh, man.
I also only had 17 days notice, so I gave them like 16 days notice, and they were like, you have to give 21 days notice to be eligible for rehire. So like 2 strikes against you. If you leave, we can't take you back. We like you, but I had a really nice lieutenant who actually, I turned in my letter of resignation. He was like, do you ever want to work in like a job again? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, well, let me fix this for you. I was it was so bad. And he was like, you're a college graduate? I was like, yes, sir, I am. He's like, I couldn't tell. Thanks, boss. Thanks. I appreciate it. So he wrote my letter of resignation, and he didn't even fix it. There's still a spelling error in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like Chat GPT.
Yeah, exactly. Now you punched that in a couple times, but so I quit. I did the Ultimate Fighter.
Before we get into the Ultimate Fighter, so how does the Ultimate Fighter even get presented to you? How do you even hear about this?
A guy named Frank, a buddy of mine, who's always on the Underground at that time. It was a big deal. The forum, Underground forum, tells me there's a show, and they, Joe Silva wants to talk to me. Joe Silva wants to talk to me. I talked to Joe Silva before about fighting in the UFC at 205 when I was fighting heavyweight, and I'd broken my arm. So that was basically Joe Silva said, if you don't lose, I'll use you next year. I won, but I broke my arm, so I never talked to him again. And then it's like, hey, talk to this. So they did the show, and then I talked to like producers, Craig Pelagian, a guy named, I think his name was Sumit, I forget his name. And he was the actual guy that actually convinced me to do it. It was a guy named, just a random production assistant.
Well, I saw something, a clip with you a while ago, and there was a story where you almost didn't get on the plane.
Yeah, I didn't get on the plane.
Oh, you didn't get on the plane?
Did not get on the first plane.
Why?
because I just immediately, well, I got there, I was like, what the fuck you doing? I've been like homeless before, you know? I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's going on? And so I called, maybe I got it on the plane, but I was like really not wanting to. It was, so yeah, they didn't have to buy me a new flight. And I called and I talked to that producer that I'm talking about, Indian kid. And he put me on the phone with Dana. This is 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dana gives an amazing speech. It was really like fucking a Dana speech, you know, like, do you want to be a fucking fighter type speech? Like, you know, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, kid. I didn't hear a word of it because I'm walking around the Atlanta airport with no signal. You're pretty old, so you know, like, cell phone didn't used to be like, we're just talking. It used to be so I'm like trying to run around the airport, literally like standing on furniture, trying to hold the phone up. Like, kids today don't understand this. And I can't hear a fucking word he's saying. And then, so I just got on. I heard, I was like, oh, Dana, like, I was so like, Dana White's talking to me. I can't hear it. I got to find, you know, so I'm like running around trying to find some signal. It was quite hilarious. People were like, what's that guy doing, you know?
Yeah.
But the old, like, not even a flip phone, just the old ones that were like a bar soap.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
You know,
about.
it's like, yeah.
So you end up going, was it 6 weeks in the house?
It was 61 days. Well, between it was 8 weeks at that time.
Oh boy. You fought how many times?
3.
3 times, and then the final.
Mm-hmm.
So you make it to the final against Stephan Bonner. You guys put on just a war.
Well, I mean, tell you about the intake. So they bring us in, and I had been to a seminar in 2001 with Randy Couture, and I'd actually rolled with him and grappled with him, and he'd done all right. Obviously, I didn't. But and then we had lunch after, and you know, I was watching what he ate and thinking, you know, just what he, you know. So okay, he's so, you know, he doesn't eat like super healthy. He just trains, and you know, talking to him, and he was super nice. And I felt like he took an interest in me because I was big and athletic and like decent. I was his size-ish, you know. So I knew Randy. Like, I knew him, you know. Granted, it was maybe 2-day seminar, but it was through Straight Blast Gym up in Portland. So when we came into the show, I really wanted to get selected by Randy.
Sure.
But what happened is me and Steph were sparring, and there was like a weird like step off of the mat. And so I back up and I step off and I kind of go, like that. And Stephan cracks me with a 1-2. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I start trying to bring it, and he's clipping me with shots, boxing. I'm like, all right, he's beating me boxing. I knee him to the body. I go to try to knee him in the head, and he bends, and I pull his head into mine. So what I basically just pull us into our heads, trying to land the knee, trying to pull his head into my knee. You know, he's not gonna let me pull his head into the knee. So our heads clash, and he gets cut. And Randy's like, "Oh, that guy trains like a fucking idiot. And I don't want him on my team." You know. And so Chuck got me later in the draft, even though I was probably one of the best 3 guys, maybe 4. Swick was pretty good too, actually. But Swick was doing all right with me. We're sparring on the feet. And then he took me down, and I immediately like swept him, took his back, and choked him out. And I was like, "Did anybody see that? Did anybody see it?" And you know, and yeah. So it was. So Chuck knew that he could get me later, and he didn't have to use one of the first 3 picks on me at 205. Even though, you know, Bobby, Stephan, and then probably me, if I had to put him in an order, and then maybe Swick and me kind of for that 3rd spot. You know, if I had to like order the fighters going in at that time.
Yeah, I used to watch those fights with my buddy Rich. He was the only one that had enough money to get cable.
Yes.
And it was on Spike TV. I think it was on was it Monday night?
It was on Monday night after Raw or whatever bullshit, WC Wrestling, which I always hated because it always ran late.
True.
Fucking bullshit.
So we were in, like, we were
It was
vested.
live wrestling.
We were vested in the Ultimate Fighter, though. We were excited. I was a fight fan. I grew up a fight fan, boxing fan mainly. But my buddy Rich had cable. We'd go to his house. We would watch it. The very first episode, this is no shit, he picked you.
Yeah.
When?
Why?
I don't know.
What was he basing that off of?
Nothing. He knew nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, I think that Forrest guy's going to win. I'm like, oh, maybe. I don't know. You know?
Yeah. Who'd you like? Stephan, maybe?
I didn't know.
From your region?
Nah, I didn't. No connections. I had no idea.
Who'd I think would win on the... Well, I thought Lieben would probably win on the 85.
I wanted him to win. I remember, but...
Just immediately sizing him up. And then I was like, well, he's kind of a loose cannon. He might...
But he had the Team Quest background, too.
Yeah,
so that kind of made him...
He might get hurt, you know, and he drank. And I was like, well, you know, you know.
Anyways, it was great TV.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, it's like we're talking about the good old days, but if you were there, they were this big. It was a
Yeah.
big deal.
And then your final fight against Stefan, which obviously goes down in history as an absolute war. Everybody's seen it. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah,
If
it
they're
was
a
just
fight
it was
fan.
the most important because of the time. It was just again just a random, luck, right? It was the perfect fight at the perfect time when the UFC they were thinking about renewing the show but weren't 100% because the ratings were okay. You got to remember, UFC bought the airtime
Right. Yeah.
for the first season. They were 44 million or 42 million in debt, so the
Yeah.
story goes, and then they signed during the main event of Rich Franklin's and Ken Shamrock, they signed the deal to do a second season of The Ultimate Fighter out by their production trucks.
Wow.
And there's a great story with like Lorenzo and Frank and Dana and just
Because
they
almost folded shop.
Well, they almost folded shop, and then the last ditch effort was the show, and that's all again because the casinos were doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then they knew Craig Pelegian, who again another guy that's made such a huge difference in my life and a lot of lives of the guys from the Ultimate Fighter. He had done like a casino show with Lorenzo and Frank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever seen it.
No.
Lorenzo's got like a goatee and slick back hair. This young Lorenzo and Frank, and they did about just a kind of a reality doc show about the day in the life of casino moguls.
Oh.
Young casino moguls, because they were both really young to be running $1 billion casinos.
Sure.
Yeah.
But your final fight there, your finale fight there with Stefan, that fight to me, because as I said, I was a huge boxing fan coming up. That fight to me reminded me of
mediocre boxing.
No, it reminded me of Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
And that was the only other time I've watched those two fights. Gatti Ward was a couple years before that, in 2002, I think, when they fought their first one, first of three. But that was such a war. I remember thinking, like, man, I just wish any fight fan that I knew was watching this right now.
Yeah.
I was watching it by myself on HBO. I remember calling my brother, like, man, you got to go on demand and watch this. It's incredible.
That's hilarious.
And then you guys fought and had the same type of war. And it was the same feeling. I was like, man, people need to be watching this right now. Like, what's going on? Remember, like, the viewers, they said the viewerships went up by the round.
Yeah.
People were clearly getting on the horn, telling other people to watch it.
Kind of caught some traction.
Yeah. And then you guys developed a friendship after that.
Yeah. Well,
like Gatti and Ward.
Here. He trained here.
Yeah, I know. I remember 2007, I came here and you guys were drilling on the mat. I'm like, whoa, wait, that, because you don't know that goes on.
Yeah. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
That is weird. Yeah. He ended up moving to Vegas and he would come back and forth. And when we took the second fight, him and I, on 5 or 6 weeks' notice, and he was out here training with us. He took the fight. He was like, dude, you got to go. I didn't tell him that.
Yeah.
He went back home to do a camp because he was just out here,
Yeah.
And it was funny, yeah. And he prepared for the John Jones fight out here. I helped him because I was longer, so I was giving him work for the John Jones fight.
That's cool.
Little did I, John Jones only had one fight in the UFC before that, I think, maybe two. And I was like, all right, he's got, like, don't shoot on him because he's got good, like, counter wrestling, and he'd won by, like, Anaconda. And I was like, he's got really long arms for that Anaconda. And that was the only advice I gave him.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think the kid could. I thought, you stay at distance with him, pop, 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 pop. I didn't actually think much of Jones's punching at that time.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about spinning elbows, jump knees, spinning back. I didn't I discounted those techniques at that time as like more showy bullshit. Like what you need to do is box, low kick, front kicks, like the basic, like K1 boxing, like, because I was actually a big K1 fan, not a big boxing fan.
Oh, I was both.
I grew up, it was just me and my mom most of the time. So I never, why would I ever get to watch boxing?
You didn't have any fighters you looked up to growing up?
Later, I found Evander Holyfield, and I found Evander.
Georgia guy, yeah?
Yeah, well, technically Alabama, but he lived in Atlanta. I just found out he was born in Alabama. I was mortified. But he represented Georgia, trained out of Georgia. When I got my personal training license, the ISSN, it was with his strength coach at, Tom Platts and his strength coach at his gym.
Wasn't his strength coach anything like Tim something or other?
Well, for a while, he worked with Lee Haney. And so when I was still like into football, the first person I ever saw do plyometrics and like medicine ball throws and explosive work was Evander Holyfield. So he was going like lateral shuffle sprints and then picking up a ball and throwing it, catching a ball and slamming it, picking up a ball and throwing it, catching it. And I was like, fuck, what is this? Should I be doing this? You know, like,
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah.
And he's doing like these plyo jumps and stuff, and he was like jumping so high.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this dude, I fucking love this dude. And he's from Georgia, fucking the guy, Evander Holyfield. So, like, you know, when he fought Tyson and stuff, I'd never a big Tyson fan.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought before they fought, I thought, well, why doesn't he fight Evander Holyfield? He'll beat him. You know, I know. And yeah, Holyfield was a heavyweight. He wasn't a cruiserweight anymore by the time Tyson started taking off.
Sure.
And it's like, well, what about Lennox Lewis, you know? So I thought, yeah. And I was, you know, I just never thought Tyson was that great. I missed out on that legend because I didn't know that much. And the only fights they showed, like on regular TV in Georgia, were Evander Holyfield fights.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So those are the only fights I ever saw.
Yeah.
It was like, and this is, again, people won't understand this, but they used to you used to only be able to see the games. Like, I used to only be able to watch Falcons games.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Falcons weren't playing, if they had a bye week, it was exciting because you'd see everybody else. And then they used to have blackouts if the games didn't sell out.
Didn't sell out, yeah.
Like, people don't know about it. They can't even understand this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Holyfield was the only guy that which was a great guy.
He was the only guy you have access to. And I still, like, when I'm teaching, I say, hey, Holyfield, always in his perfect stance. No matter what's happening, he's looking down the barrels. He's perfectly lined up for the next shot, you know?
Yeah.
Perfectly lined up to either go offensive or defensive. And he always, you know, moves great, you know, because, again, he was a cruiserweight moving up to heavyweight. They muscled up, so, yeah.
Well, back to the Tyson fight. They should have fought before Mike went to prison. I think it would have been more competitive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a totally different fight. You know, I think Tyson was getting worse and Holyfield was getting better.
He's a late bloomer. He matured later.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and again, it's the move from cruiser to heavyweight, too. So that bought him some time or kind of changed his trajectory.
So when you got into the UFC then after the Ultimate Fighter show, you went and fought Bill Mahood first. You fought Elvis Sinisic.
I was supposed to fight, what's his name? Ian Freeman.
Oh.
6 weeks out, he fell off a horse in Australia shooting a movie stunt.
Ah.
So, yeah, and broke his ribs.
So that's how you fought Bill Mahood.
That's how I fought Bill Mahood. And Bill Mahood was, they couldn't get his visa right for the Ultimate Fighter. So he was actually in the casting calls for the Ultimate Fighter at 205.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And so apparently, we were talking about this. He and I had been in the doctor's office at the same time getting physicals and taking our drug tests.
No kidding.
Because I remember Bobby Southworth was there. It was pretty weird, you know, but he was there too. And he remembered seeing me because he knew kind of me from fighting.
See, these are the backstories that nobody knows going into that fight.
Yeah. Were we supposed to talk about any of the stuff on this paper?
Yeah, don't even worry about that.
So,
I come prepared.
You want to, yeah, no, it's always better to come with a plan and then not have to.
We're hitting it. We're hitting some of these talking
What's
points. I want to go back to Bill Mahood, and you were both doing your physicals at the same time. He was supposed to be on the show, doesn't get to go on. You end up fighting him.
Yeah,
like
first
nobody's
UFC
never heard that before.
Oh yeah, ask
Were you nervous to like go out there the first time? Now you're coming out.
I really
reality.
wasn't. Yeah, no, I really wasn't. People always say like, first fight I got nervous for, if I'm being totally honest, was the Quentin Jackson fight.
Oh, that's a talking point.
It's funny. I was like, I'm not like kind of get nervous about, like, I'm more afraid of when the plane hits a bump than fighting somebody. You have control over it. Like, it's all in your power. Like, I say the same things again and again. But
yeah, that makes sense. But I think from a fan's perspective.
Like when you're flying in that plane,
Spirit?
See? Taking your life in your hands right there. Feel that bump in Spirit. You don't know.
Expectations.
They didn't pay the extra for the whatever
Low
cleaning.
Expectations, low. You keep the expectations low.
There you go. Keep your happiness.
So you get thrown into the UFC with the veterans, so to speak, right? So from a fan's perspective, we want to know, like, are these guys good enough to really compete with the
Well, that was
the roster?
Reality Check was a great show. Me and Tito.
Your third fight into the UFC, you're fighting Tito Ortiz, former light heavyweight champion. He was not that far removed from being champion. And was that main event?
Co-main.
Co-main, okay.
Arlovsky, Tim, Sylvia.
Well, okay, it should have been main event.
They were fighting for the belt. So.
Yeah, I know, but it was
a good fight. I think it's the way Foot locked him, maybe. I don't know.
Is that the one where he fought?
I don't know.
Some of those heavyweight fights back then are snoozers, but your fight back then was big to me. I was a Tito fan back in the day. He's actually who got me watching the sport.
Well, that's funny. Yeah.
So when you were fighting him, I was like, man, this is a huge test
Yeah.
for you. And you guys, I mean, it was razor close. I thought you won.
Yeah.
I thought you won the fight. You lost the fight, but you still won in my eyes.
And I didn't feel bad about losing. I made some mistakes, whatever. But because I felt like, well, I got my ass whooped the first round.
Yeah.
But then I won the third round when it mattered more. It's
There's
like,
4 rounds you go stop him.
Yeah. You know, it was like, so he has a great quote going into that fight. A minute into that fight, he's going to realize what the UFC level is about. And then I have a quote, 15 minutes in when I'm still popping him in the face, he's going to know that I'm for real. And I forget what I said. Hope my quote was better than that. But the funny thing, my friend called me up, who I almost never talked to, my friend, but a good friend. You know how that is. Men can do that.
Yeah.
I talk to the guy once a year, but it's like, you know, old times. And he just calls me up. He's like, hey, do you realize that the sound clips you gave both were absolutely true? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. You know, so if you watch that fight, the sound clips we give a minute in, he's going to know that this is the idea. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
This dude is stronger than me. I'm not used to that. That's why I went to 205. Why is he so strong?
But conditioning.
Well, and then it was like he just kind of blew his wad.
Yeah.
He was trying to knock me out. And then when you don't knock somebody out, again, you go, oh, they dump everything. And again, that's the stuff like later in the paper, those physiological dumps. Maybe people that have never been in the sport can't really understand that, you know, like, and look, people practice the grappling, boxing, right? So it used to be very difficult to go from one form, one energy system, one strength, one type of strength use to back to speed strength when you're boxing and trying to be quick and trying to have snap. Guys drill that again and again and again, so it comes more natural. But for us, that was one of the biggest things is like you trained your striking and your grappling on different days. So it wasn't as much, you know. So you need to train that wrestling, the jits to get up and immediately pop.
Right.
So, you know, like a sparring in a safe way. So yeah. We kind of figured that. We figured that out in here.
Yeah.
In the room in here, you know. Like how do we prep for that? We used to do every Wednesday was the Shark
Tank. I was just gonna say that.
Every Wednesday.
I remember when Randy, before he fought Gabriel Gonzaga, that he did a Shark Tank. I'd never seen that before. And he was getting his ass kicked in the Shark Tank.
I'm coming in on him for 2 minutes. What the fuck do you expect?
Exactly.
I only got to go for 2 minutes.
But I didn't understand it. So
you give me tired Randy, you know, after he's gone 2 minutes and I've been sitting on my ass, and then I go, it was like 2. Yeah, I don't know.
But he was Randy Couture in my eyes. I didn't understand it.
You're like, I was supposed to be working with this guy. He's losing.
And I remember this was like pretty close to the fight, a few weeks out. And I remember saying to Ron, I was like, is this good? He's like, no, this is how it should be.
Okay, yeah.
And Ron was like, he explained to me what you're saying. And I didn't know. You know?
Like, what the?
Should he be stuck on his back this whole 2 minutes here? What's going on? Why is he on his back? Why is he getting up?
I thought the thing was he gets up and then he goes to
he was a champion again.
Like, what the hell? Yeah, it's very, yeah.
So after the Tito fight, did that give you a kind of a different sense of confidence in going forward?
Yeah,
to go in there and
you know, I'm sure it did. I don't remember like it happening or like in a moment, but you know.
So you had
again, you know, I wasn't like attached to becoming a champion. Like I was like, I really did accidentally have a great attitude and that, hey, I just want to do this for like 5 years and make some money. So I didn't have a lot of pressure on myself. I think that's where the nerves come from. I was like, wow, I want to fight. That was actually just my goal. It's just to win a fight in UFC. And now my next goal is to have about a 5-year career where I make more money fighting than I could as a cop. And then I go back, you know, because I'm going to be like 5 years below all my peers as far as experience in law enforcement. But, you know, I figured by 30, I'd be a cop again.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny. So you had a couple more fights and you end up getting matched up with Shogun when the UFC Pride from Japan, and Pride that took place in Japan, and that was cool because from a fan's perspective,
well,
he was Vanderlei, right?
He was the champ,
exactly.
And you know,
Shogun Hua was a big deal.
Dana says it the best. Is like, what the fuck did Forrest do to you, Dana? Why are you putting him with that killer? And I'd always been a fan of his in Vanderlei, and you have that far away syndrome. You know, I was a fan. All right, so my guys were Randy, Big Nog, and then for excitement, Shogun and Vanderlei, like whatever they were doing in Pride with the soccer kicks. And I thought the ring and that rule set suited my fighting style better. because they would do a lot more jujitsu. Because when you don't have the elbows, it opens up your jujitsu.
Sure.
And when you can kick a downed opponent on the face when he's in your guard, that opens up your jujitsu. So I thought that was the rule set for me. That was where I wanted to go more
Really?
than the UFC. Yeah. We all have that far away syndrome. We think because something's exotic and we have the extra, you know, you could only, it was like, I remember it'd come on at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And I go, fuck, you're trying to watch
Yeah.
it, you know. Yeah, but you always think it's, you know.
Yeah. But so getting matched up ahead of been a surreal experience. Like,
Well, yeah, I asked for it. I
Oh,
I
you
remember
did?
the night I was, and I remember I asked Joe Silva for it, and instead of giving me a yes or no answer, he just made fun of my grammar. I was like, you kind of just said you want to fight yourself, and I was like, I don't know grammar, like, and I don't even know how to you spell Shogun. I spelled it like Showgun. You know, and it was like, this guy, what is this guy talking about?
And then you beat him
Yeah, I beat him. That was a great fight.
and did that amazing celebration after you choked him out, which you even put in the video game.
Which is, you know, the great thing there is like a guy just losing control of his body. It's like, you know, it's you know, it's a genuine moment of like pure, unadulterated, no filter happiness. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks really stupid. And that's why they don't let me dance at parties, you know.
Yeah. And then your reward was title shot, fight Rampage Jackson.
Yeah. Because the matchup was they fought in Pride.
Exactly.
The champ here, the champ there. That would have been unifying the belts. It would have been like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah. And that's
because he had the Pride belt.
Sure. Yeah. And Chuck had won the title, or Rampage had won the title from knocking out Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
So then now you're fighting Rampage, and you said that was the first fight you ever got nervous for?
Kind of, yeah. It was different. Like it was the first time I was like, shit, I can do something with this. Like I can really make this
There's
happen.
a lot on the line here.
Yeah, it's like I could do this. Like I could be champ. Like I could do that. Like it could happen. Like you know, and this is a weird thing for me. I don't really think like that. It's like, you know, so.
And he was known for putting guys away. What was your game plan?
I thought it was, so I tweaked my back like right before that. So my left leg was bothering me, but my game plan was to stay long, to use longer weapons and to out scramble them on the ground, I guess. That was it. And you know, like don't box.
Yeah.
Don't fucking box.
Yeah.
You're either kicking, you're moving, or you're clinching.
Yeah.
And actually even in that fight, I almost react poorly to him punching me in the shoulders and stuff, and I grab him and fall on my back. I was like, Forrest, you could have boxed a little bit, but I guess I didn't want to take any chances.
Right.
I don't know.
Rightfully so. I don't blame you. What was a bigger win in your mind, that one or Shogun? Which one?
Probably the Shogun. It was a finish too.
Yeah.
You know, it was a finish too, and it was totally unexpected. But after the Shogun thing, people were like, all right, Forrest might have a chance. I remember Jason Miller rolling with me and thinking, this is before the fight, he's like, you might beat this guy. Because he had rolled with Quentin before too, you know. He was like, you might beat him. I was like, that's a weird thing to say. Like, you might beat this.
Thanks.
I was like, okay, I guess that's.
So winning the title, then you end up unfortunately losing it to Rashad. You had ups and downs throughout after that.
Yeah.
What was the lowest moment?
Man, you know, there's been a lot of low moments. You know, you got to remember, I had the Jardine loss before that too. Right. And that was great for me. And I've told the story so many times, I always feel stupid telling it. But, and after this, let's talk about strength and conditioning.
All right.
But, you know, you get something like that, all your worst fears, whatever, come true, and you're fucking fine. Like nothing changes.
Yeah.
You get a couple $100,000 from the company for, you know, trying hard, you know, and you cry. You do like everything bad that could happen. It was the first pay-per-view to do 1 million buys, Chuck and Tito. We were the co-main event. Okay. So everybody turns in just as they flip me crying, and I'm an ugly crier. But you know, the point is that after that, I became a bit bulletproof. It was like, oh, the worst thing that could happen happened. In my mind, you know, embarrassment is always the worst thing for me. And I'm fucking fine. Like nothing changed. I was like, and I'm almost like proud of myself. Like I didn't quit on myself. I did the work. I probably did too much work. You know, I over prepared if that's possible. You can't over study for the test. I maybe should have done a little more study of his footage because I knew he always throws that left hook. Always, and that's one of his best punches is out of the fray left hook. And it, you know, instead of rolling, I just come up. Like an exchange, bang, bang, bang. I felt like I'd won. I come up, almost like look up, you know, like you're in the, you look out of the foxhole, bink, I never saw it. I was like, whoa, 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 no, hold on, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, and I remember thinking, I'm fine. And the next thing you know, the fight stopped. And you're just like, fuck, what happened there?
Yeah. So that was one of the lowest moments right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, and obviously the Anderson was low, just because everybody else kept bringing it up to me. I was like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "I'm okay. Please stop."
Yeah.
Like I get it. It was horrible. Like sometimes you know,
Yeah.
who knocked me out? Oh, Bristol Murundi knocked me out 14 days before the fight.
Oh.
And you know, I'm talking to the doctor Monday after I got knocked out Saturday, and you know, basically he's giving me the out.
You got knocked out 2 weeks before you fought Anderson Silva?
Yeah, the Saturday before.
Jesus.
To the point, this is how knocked out I was. And by Bristol Murundi, who never hurt me a day in training. He caught me with the right hand, right kick. He could do a good southpaw, so he was helping me. I know he had short arms, but he could do a good southpaw. No, it was in southpaw, left hand, left head kick. I don't know what happened. They both, I guess you have to ask him, but they both landed cleanly. And the only thing I remember from the day is I let my wife take me to the hospital to get an MRI, which I would never do. Like waste $600 or $400 on an MRI. But I was so knocked out, I was like a child.
So you ended up finishing.
And then the Shogun fight, when I lost that sucked, but I had my daughter like the next day. So when the Shogun fight, I actually had a really good camp. For a change, I was healthy.
The second fight.
The second fight, yeah. And he knocked me out in the first round, but I felt pretty good going into it. And after that, I knew, all right, you're not going to be a top 5 guy anymore. But I was okay with that. I was like, I just want to fight other old guys.
We beat Rich Franklin.
Well, and that's when the 5-round main events were happening. So I thought, oh, I'll just fight other old guys. And then I blew him a knee out, so.
Well, you got a big win over Rich Franklin, then you closed your career with the third fight with Tito.
Yeah.
I was at both those, the Franklin and the Tito fight.
Yeah.
I was there.
Vegas.
Yeah, but I remember.
I like to work in Vegas, no state tax.
Yes. I remember towards the end of your career there, because I have some notes from our my training logs back then.
2012 intake.
Yes, 2012 intake. You were supposed to fight Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, I wanted that fight too. That was a good fight for me.
Wow, that was exciting for me too.
Chael talked his way into a John Jones fight.
Yeah.
Now I worked with Chael here, and he's actually got Diaz-esque boxing. He did okay with me boxing. I'll give him that for sure. I was surprised that he was able to hit me so much like boxing. I was definitely like, wait, what? He's not hitting you super hard, but he's really up in your face and pushing you around and Diaz in you, you know, with that bing, 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 like, 10 soft punches equals a hard punch.
Yeah.
And he just would never let me get my rhythm. So I was like, okay, but in the fight, I'm not. So I had like a reference of when we'd sparred together before.
But you fought him.
Yeah, but that was
long time prior.
I remember my corner told me, like, we saw him warm up, we knew you were gonna win. He was so bad stand up.
Yeah.
They saw him warming up in the locker room.
Yeah.
And this was in Denver too, so I'm dying. Because I'm coming from 16 feet.
Yeah.
Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that training camp, I had some notes.
Chael Sonnen.
Yeah. I was very excited to be a part of it because he was a big name at the time. I knew it was going to be a big publicity fight for you. He was going to be talking. It was going to be billed as a rematch. And I remember your left arm at that time didn't move past like here.
Yeah.
I have zero vertical pressing or pulling. Incorporate YTW isometric holds. Prone pressers and swimmers, scap retractions, internal, external rotations for corrective exercises. Your upper body was absolutely shot at that point.
Yeah. 2012, my upper body was shot.
Gone.
Yeah.
Like, we could do absolutely nothing.
There was very little we could do that wouldn't make me worse.
And you were at the point where I was thinking, am I helping at this point? Or am I hurting?
Yeah. It was like, that's funny. Yeah.
And that's a really, that position sucks for a coach.
Yeah.
Because they want the guy to feel good,
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this guy, he's hurting.
Yeah. Well, the vertical climber sprints, those are one of my favorite things we did because they give you that, ooh. And then you're always like, stop. I'm like, I could do another one. Yeah,
you definitely needed the leash on you, for sure. You wanted to run yourself right into the ground.
Yeah. That's my.
You wanted to kamikaze yourself.
And that's why a lot of guys derive confidence from that too. Well, I did the work. You did maybe, one of my new sayings is work smarter, not harder. Work smarter so you can work harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody says work smarter, not harder, but work smarter so you can work harder.
Exactly. So yeah, upper body was extremely limited. I had stick with basic unilateral horizontal pressing and pulling because your arm wasn't going above your head. So anything we did was a horizontal pull or push, and we
I
were
love
doing
this. Yeah.
one limb at a time because that side was so jacked up.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe you were still fighting, honestly.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, you sure it was my left shoulder, not my right?
I'm pretty sure it's your left.
Okay. So I've never had surgery on this one. I've had 3 surgeries on this one, but they're both equally fucked.
Pretty sure. I mean, it was 15 years ago
They
or so.
probably told me I needed surgery on this, and I
Yeah.
was like, why? You've 3 here, and it's worse.
Yeah.
Why would I?
But I remember you had bad wrists too. Like I remember you couldn't like do a push-up. You couldn't.
Yeah, that was a temporary thing. That went away. That was just at that time.
Let me
I tweaked
update
something.
this then.
Yeah. Just the wrist got better.
And lower body, low impact plyometrics, because you had a foot issue going on at the time.
Yeah,
I believe it was your right foot, but at the time there was low impact, just ground contact plyometric drills, meaning no box jumps. No, we're not jumping off any boxes or anything like that.
Jump onto, step off.
Yeah. But front loaded squats, trap bar deadlift, barbell RDLs are a green light.
Those are some of my favorite exercises to this day.
Yeah, so we
or Zercher squats.
Zercher
another
squats.
One of my favorites.
We did Zercher squats.
Yeah. I love them.
Because obviously we weren't putting anything behind your head.
Yeah, I could, even in 2012, I couldn't hold the bar behind my head, back of my head.
Oh, I remember, yeah. So we Zerchered and we gobleted, I remember. But I remember we were able to train your lower body pretty well.
Yeah.
But the upper body was a mess.
Yeah.
Is it any better?
No.
No.
Things don't get better. They can only get worse.
I didn't know if you had anything corrected surgery-wise.
I haven't had surgery since upper body. I had the 3, and it's garbage. Why would I have any more?
And then you end up blowing out your knee during that camp.
Yeah, that was
it. That
was it. Never fought again.
Did you ever consider, like, I'm going to get this, it was ACL?
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm done. Fuck it. I was so angry at the sport, at my body, because I was already all right, way retirement starts creeping in your head. My physical was getting worse at a faster rate than my technical mental was getting better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, we have been around mental giants. Randy Couture, I was with him for his last camps. His body quit.
Yeah.
But he was so goddamn strong mentally, he was able to do it. The results weren't good. Chuck Liddell never lost mental faith that he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
His body quit. His body was done.
Yeah.
But he's just, again, like the Rudyard Kipling poem, he forced his will past his body.
Yeah.
And you can see guys, Randy and Chuck are the examples I use. Big Nog. I remember sparring with Big Nog before he was fighting, I forget, Frank Mir, who's another good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I kicked him in the leg. He said, no, you can't kick me. I start to wrestle. I know we can't wrestle. So basically, we had just boxed. I was like, it's an MMA fight, not just boxing.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. Like, his body was shocked. He was mentally like, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah.
So you never...
Oh, yeah.
The comeback thing never...
Yeah. So I was like, I'm done. I hate it. And I had other opportunities, work-wise, like, go make some money, do this, do that, which I, again, I called them a couple years later and nobody knew my name. They're like, who? Nah, we don't remember saying that. Like, yeah, you just ever wanted to come work. That's showbiz, though. I was doing drills over at Tim Soder's with a women's volleyball team. And I was like, jump, single leg. It's like, I think I got this. I can probably come back, man. I'm, how they have you doing a little whatever. And so I jumped in with them, and I was like, and it was more than I'd ever done. And I was like, oh, I got this. This is maybe 9-10 months. And then a couple months go on. I start training MMA again a little bit, ease into it, do correctly this time. And then I was playing soccer with my daughter, who was 3, and some 5- and 6-year-olds. And I just was being fancy, like, trying to show off a little bit. I don't know what I got this. And I just stepped wrong and popped, tore my MCL off the bone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just tore it off the freaking bone.
And that did it.
That was it. And I was like, then mentally, I was just crushed. That was pretty. Oh, the other thing, I was on TRT. When I blew my knee out, I just quit cold turkey. So I didn't think about it. I was like, fuck this, you know, I need to really stick needles in my ass. I don't need to. We're right. Getting injured sucks, and it sucks. So anyway, I was just done. And then shortly after that, I would work out in the basement in Red Rock, and I talked to Lorenzo, and he was just like, "Oh, yeah, let's get you in. Just come in." And I come in, you know, kind of like button up, you know, nicer clothes, and you know, Danda's in jeans and a t-shirt, and then Lorenzo's getting done working out. He's in like, you know, flip-flops or something, and they're like making fun of me, and they're like, yeah, you work here now. Just talk to Reed.
That's how it happened.
And I was just like, okay. And then they were like, shit, you need a computer, huh? So I got no onboarding. It was just like, yeah, you're here. What do you want to do?
And your title at the PI is Vice President of Athlete Development?
Yeah. Well, and I was in athlete development with Reed before, and it was actually really cool. And yeah, I mean, the story goes, I just start showing up to meetings. If you show up enough, people start saying, hey, do this. And then I was like, fuck, I gotta stop going to those meetings. And every time I do, somebody gives me an assignment, and I gotta like do it. And then anytime anybody ever asked me to do something, I just said yes.
Yeah.
Like, yes. And you know, my saying is, and I forget his name, Bill Goldberg, UJ, the wrestler, who also played UJ football. I said, I never let being totally unqualified to do a thing stop me from doing it. And then he had like the similar saying, but cooler. And it was like, yeah. And yeah, we were actually we were competing to host a knife show on Discovery. He got it, and he should have gotten it.
Cool. So the Performance Institute job, the job you have over there is Vice President of Athlete Development. How beneficial do you think the UFC PI would have been for you during your career?
We were already, I had PT. We were already a little bit ahead, right? So, you know, it's like the internet. Like we were all operating here, then the internet came along and social media and the velocity of knowledge changed, and now we're all operating here. So it's obviously would have been helpful, but it would have been helpful for everybody equally.
True. But
so it's not like it really matters.
The metabolic testing, all the testing you're capable of doing over there, having doctors on staff.
The testing to define the programming. So we were, and correct me if I'm wrong, obviously you have individualized program, but we were at the time almost like football. We're trying to identify what the sport needs and then just train everybody to the sport. Like this is what you need to be good at mixed martial arts. Let's just work those qualities.
Yeah.
Now we're like, this is where you are exactly across a comparison of everybody else at your weight class. Here is how your weight class and the needs for your weight class differ from another one. And it was Dr. Duncan French who actually came up with that. And it was one of those things I was so pissed. I think my coach, Adam Singer, had said that before. Because of the necessity of it, we'd run a practice with 85ers, 205ers, heavyweights, and 35ers in the same room doing the same thing. It's a different sport.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different sport, you know? 50 and 75, 55 and 70, those are the same. 85, 205, very similar. Heavyweight, 205, similar. But 85 is not actually that similar to 205. You start getting more and more differences in the techniques that are used, the length of the fight time, the way fights are won or lost. So if you use the techniques, how fights are won or lost, and then the fight time, that's what you're training for more or less, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then you put your individual style on it, right?
Yeah.
So you would never train me the way you train Chael Sonnen.
Sure. Yeah, right.
He's going to want to do different things. He's going to need a different set of physical skills than I do.
Right. And are the athletes over at the PR, are they getting one-on-one attention then?
Every time.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's the programming, right? So they use VCP, Visual Coaching Pro. So there's your program. I always use the same example. Kid over in Germany hurt his shoulder, said I can't do X, Y, and Z. They move some of it they just get rid of. Some of it they move to next week. You know, they start moving things around. All right, well, we're going to do a little more conditioning because we're going to take this upper body pushing out because you have a shoulder injury. Yeah. And that's the beauty in it, you know?
Well, extremely beneficial for those that live in Vegas and have access to that 24/7.
So here's the thing. Everybody has access to it. You just got to come in, give me 3 days. And this is a kid in Germany. Again, that's the thing COVID did is like the internet works, guys. Yeah. They're sending you a program. There's a picture of the exercise. The other thing you're doing is you're sending them a picture of all the equipment you have in your gym.
Sure.
You know, and you've done this before.
Sure, yeah.
You know, you've done this when you were training guys. It's like, well, okay, what do you have access to?
Yeah.
Or what is your gym that you work at? All right, well, let me build a program around the equipment you have. You know, you don't have a reverse hyper. Okay, well, we're going to have to do some, you know, X, Y, or Z's to, you know, maybe we'll do some sliders or something to strengthen that, you know, even though we don't have like we'd like.
Right. Well, that's pretty awesome. I know a guy that I work with a lot, Michael Johnson, comes out, gets treatment done, gets some testing done out here, and he loves it.
Yeah,
speaks
when you
highly of
can,
it.
yeah. I mean, but you know, it's cool if you have the opportunity to do your own, do your own. You know, it's like the nutritionist conversation. You don't need a nutritionist unless they're cooking for you. If they're cooking for you for the last month or something, if they're in there, if they're going to be in the sauna with you, okay. But if they're not doing all that for you, honestly, you really just don't need them.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things I like is like, why don't you just let us build the program, come out here, they'll build the program, and then they'll send it to your strength coach, and then he'll make modifications as needed on the daily.
Yep.
And then, you know, weekly said, hey, email this, that, the other. And that's something I have to do. And we will do. It's a good app idea. It's a $100,000 idea, because again, it'd be MMA guys, but an interchangeable schedule, like, you know, Train Heroic or Band is actually one for bands, where you put the workout in and we can both see it. You can make changes to it. So here's what I tell athletes to do. Sunday, I want you to write down what you're going to do for the week. Every practice, this, how hard you think you're going to go, how long. And then I want you to track that. And then I want you to compare Saturday to Sunday. Sunday is 15 minutes. It's 2 15, 20-minute blocks of time I'm asking for on Saturday and Sunday. You know, Sunday morning, write down, this is what I'm going to do this week. These are the things. And you have the structure, right? So once you do it 2 or 3 times, it's really easy, because you're just making minor changes. And then you're, okay, what did I actually do? Oh, because a lot of fighters, they underestimate how many practices they miss or do half of during the week. So they come in and they tell me they're working 22 hours. And I say, okay, that's upper end. I'm like, well, actually, you work 19 hours. That's pretty reasonable if you're loading and deloading properly. For a high week, that's not that bad. And again, you know, I guess I would ask you, being in the space, how many actual hours all in of work do you see a fighter doing?
Oh gosh.
Not sitting on the mat talking about fighting after the practice, because you got guys that'll say, I had 2 hours. I was like, yeah, I just watched. It was 74 minutes. You were on the mat for 2 hours, but you did 74 minutes of work, bro.
I'm thinking the average one does probably two hours of actual work a day.
Yeah.
2 hours of work.
So we're talking 12 hours.
So we're talking, not even.
But what?
I would say less than that, because I don't think people are pulling double headers on Saturdays. So I think you're probably getting 10 hours during the week and maybe an hour on Saturday, hour and a half maybe on Saturday.
Yeah.
They're not doing 2 on Saturday.
No. But then the S&C put that in there as well.
I am.
Oh, that's with S&C. Yeah. Oh, wow.
My strength and conditioning sessions are typically 45 minutes tops. And I'm talking warm-up, work time, done.
Yeah. You know what has been so valuable is they do a 15-minute warm-up strength before MMA practices in the academy, and you get to hit like that neck, ab, form. You get to hit the little things that you don't have time for in those big blocks. So then the big blocks, you can concentrate on the bigger rocks to move, right? So that's something that I really like too. I never thought about that, but just doing like a warm-up, or even like after, you know, I remember Martin Campman, I used to do like general physical prep after, wrestling drills after training, and you can get a lot of useful micro workouts in there, you know, like that. There's nothing, you know.
Well, I used to put conditioning workouts after sparring sometimes.
Yes.
There would be 3 hard.
Only sparring 15 minutes.
Exactly.
You can.
And then we would come, Gray Maynard and I used to do that all the time. Post-sparring conditioning we would do. Fridays.
Yeah.
Thursdays or Fridays, whatever it was here.
Yeah, and I always liked to do my strength after my MMA.
Yeah, you're warm, you're loose, why not?
Yeah.
But I loved coupling the conditioning workouts with practice. Then I don't have to warm them up. They're ready.
Yeah.
They come hot.
Well, and then even metabolically, you're spending a lot of time in that fat burning zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, calorically, you're just Just extend that window of calorie depletion, fat burning.
Yeah, and just I think logistically speaking, it's not a separate car ride to somewhere else. It's not a separate shower. It's not you know what I'm saying? Like everything that goes into every session. When you jam things together and work more efficiently, I think that's when you're on to something.
You're 100% right.
Because it's all about time and not wasting it and not doing too much where we're working backwards.
Yeah.
And I think if I've done anything good in this sport, it's been putting the leash on people like you.
Yeah.
Randy Couture is another one. I did a podcast with him recently, and I told him, I was like, the hardest thing for me to do when I first started with you was pulling you back.
Yeah.
Everything he did was a red line workout.
Yeah.
Like, man, let's do some good solid strength training here.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that he actually was the first person that ever explained peaking and tapering to me. No, Adam did. I don't want to take my home coach from that, but he re-explained it to me when I left my home gym. Nobody made me do it, and then I quit doing it. And then Randy was like, "Hey, you should you've been going hard for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You might want to chill a little."
But the hard thing about that with MMA from a coach's perspective is that you guys all had different supplemental coaches. You would have your head coach on the mat, but then you got a boxing coach here. You grapple here. You wrestle here.
That's why I'm like challenged, because I would work out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a week. At least, and most of those were an hour to 90 minutes.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot of volume.
But it's 2 Monday, 2, 4, 1 Wednesday, 5, 2 Thursday, 2 Friday, 1 Saturday. I should have cut that Friday workout in because I would spar Saturday. The second Friday workout, I should have gone in and done a light roll and then stopped. I did wrestling Friday, and then I would spar Saturday, and I would not be good. Tuesday, Thursday, be all right. Saturday, not great.
Yeah. Easy to look at now and see that, but...
Yeah, well, it's the Vanderlei Silva model. I never saw that dude on a wrestling practice on a Friday, but Saturday, man, he always got the better of me. I was like, man, I did okay with him Thursday. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, he did the one session on Friday morning and then chilled Friday evening.
Yeah, he was ready.
But for me, that's a wrestling day. I need to wrestle. So I would, again, you got to move stuff around. You got to get creative. There is a bit of an art and science to creating a training plan.
There is, and you also have to have coaches that are willing to work together, talk together.
I probably should have made that Friday morning half grappling, half wrestling, instead of a full grappling and then a full wrestling workout.
Yeah.
Should have, but again, that's what time the practices were.
Exactly.
It wasn't about me. It was about these are what times the coaches can be there.
Yeah.
And that's the other challenge is like, with you, we would work out before practice a lot.
A lot of times.
Because that's the time. That's the time Jake's available. I got to work out, you know what I'm saying? And also, like, I don't really want to be here at 8 o'clock at night. Do you? No.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to be here at 8 o'clock. I got a wife. I got a kid, too. I want to go home and see him.
Well, I didn't then. I had no excuses.
You have no excuses.
I was worried about the center bar at the Hard Rock
Friday
night,
getting there on time, before I got to go for us. When I got to shower up and get out there, get the hair done nice, All
right, so well, Forrest, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming by. Always great chopping it up with you.
Yeah.
It's been 8 years, long overdue.
Yeah.
I look forward to coming to the UFC PI and see how you guys have improved in this last 8 years.
It's huge,
And get and learn a little something while I'm there. Hopefully I can do that before I leave town. I'd love to.
For sure.
If you're around. That being said, I'm going to let you get back to work so you don't get fired, and I don't want it to be my fault.
All right, give me 3 minutes. Tell me, in the last 8 years since we talked, what have you figured out about training athletes for the sport? You mentioned, obviously putting the leash on them, letting them know mentally, hey, you've done the work. You're working smart. You don't have to do the volume that is, a lot of us want to do the excess volume. You mentioned that, but like what other things have you found, like whether it be an exercise or technique or a mental strategy? And then how much do you coach like the mental aspect when you're coaching? Like you didn't with me, but I'm not receptive to that shit.
That's the difference. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Some guys you have those conversations with, other guys you don't.
Yeah.
Some guys like the fine details of the programming, other guys don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They're going to come here and they're going to do it, and they don't care what you're doing. I don't care how great the program is.
Yeah.
I think as a coach, you have to realize who you're dealing with and then kind of dive in on what they want to be into. What I probably learned the most, honestly, quality over quantity, but that's been something
Yeah.
that has been, I've came to light in like '08 after about a year of working here. I realized that a lot of the work was oversaturated and people were doing too much. There wasn't enough recovery time. That being said, the recovery tools that we all have access to now are a lot greater than they were in '07.
Yeah.
Everybody's got access to ice baths and red light therapy and all these
We used
things.
to do the trash cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And it was hard to get out of the trash cans.
well, especially when you're your size. I could drown in it.
Yeah.
But no, pulling back, quality over quantity. That is the
Yeah.
biggest thing. And that's nothing new, but it's more refined.
Yeah.
Like one guy that I'm working with right now, Wednesday's recovery day.
Yeah.
He comes in, he gets a sweat, he does some corrective work, and he spends probably an hour, hour and a half on purely taking care of his body.
Yeah.
So the back half of the week, it's a restart. Wednesday is a restart day. Come give her hell then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Where before, when you just grind out the week, you see performance start dropping off on Thursday, and then guess what? Nobody's at practice on Friday.
I've seen that a lot too.
Of course.
Yeah. Nobody's in Friday.
Yeah, they're smoked.
Yeah.
And but as far as like exercise selection or anything like that, I wouldn't say too much has changed. I think I've gone back to the basics more. I think everybody went through like a sport specific cute phase for a minute there. I never really bought into that too much, but
nonsense.
I love the basic pushes, the basic pulls for your upper, lower, and body.
And then you just adjust the speed and weight.
Exactly. Tempo.
Of what they need. Yeah.
Tempos, volume and intensity, monitor tempos, and make sure athletes are working in proper movement patterns. Don't overcomplicate the program.
So that coupling, like lower body floor power, transverse kind of movement, and then the neck, right? Like, so that's something else that was huge. You see, we did a lot of neck wrestling drills, but I didn't do any pure neck strengthening drills. But I did actually join the LVAC just because they had the old football 4-way neck.
Oh yeah, I do all my neck work manual.
Yes. With the towels.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot, honestly.
Upright, rotary.
Where
you fight me back and
You'd pull the
forth.
towels on my head too, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that us?
But yes, but then laying on the bench in a supine position where your neck is off the bench, I'd hit you under the chin and under the back of the head. I'd be standing behind you, obviously.
Yeah.
And you would have flexion and extension exercises. Then I'd put you on your side, and we would do lateral extension and flexion exercises. I do it all manual.
Yeah. Okay.
And the only dude I haven't really been able to, I remember that was basically tossing me around while I was doing those was Vitor Belfort's neck's like this.
That's so nice.
And I was like, Jesus, I gotta get stronger.
Yeah, I gotta lift more weight so I can out-muscle this guy's neck. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, I think just being smart with the preparation. And I think back, like in your era especially, a lot of guys overdid it, overcooked themselves.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
I mean, I would do extra. We would do something, but yeah, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go lift again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would go take a nice, I would take a nice like Saturday lift, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed lifting weights.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird thing. Like some people don't like it. I always liked lifting weights.
Sure.
I always liked like VersaClimber sprints. I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
But
the recovery and proper sleep and just...
Yeah, I've never been a sleeper. Get my 6 cup of coffee on the way in.
Well, you would think after all the coffees you've had, they spell your name right.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's different. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I think I answered it.
Yeah.
Well, back to exercise selection.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really have gone back to the basic push, pull, carries, a lot of carry variations, which I didn't do a lot of back then.
Well, sometimes the gym you have dictates the space.
Yeah, we had it.
We didn't have that. Did we have the
outside?
Space?
Could have been outside. I don't know. I just never.
You had me doing a lot of stuff on the mats, like mobility stuff or plyometric.
Plyo work.
Yeah.
That's something I still do a lot of plyo work with athletes. But I got into a lot of different carry variations.
Yeah.
Up overhead carries, which you wouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah.
Farmers, suitcase carries, all different stuff. But back to just master the fundamentals, and like you said, monitor speed, monitor velocity, loading. Play with tempos. Depending on where you're at in camp, that changes. The closer we are to the fight, the load's going to lighten up a little bit. We're going to be explosive, right? We're going to fire.
Yep.
So that, I mean, that philosophy's been there since '07 for me.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's because you actually read some books, unlike a
Read a
lot of
few.
love them to death, but a lot of the strength coaches I had were just the biggest, strongest guys.
I was fortunate to have some good mentors too, Chris Bell and a couple others.
Oh,
that
yeah, okay,
a guy
I know
that I
him.
interned
Yeah.
with, he taught me a lot. I was huge into Olympic lifting because of Chris. I'm thinking about him.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys like yourself had so many injury limitations. I remember we did some high pulls a little bit, but they were unsuccessful because of that shoulder
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
We were pulling from the floor a little
It's
bit.
funny. I was a really good power cleaner in college. That was probably the only thing I ever excelled at was power cleans.
And I love it. I love teaching them, but the time it takes to teach somebody an
learn
Olympic
it a
lift,
little bit. Yeah.
there's other ways to skin the cat, so to speak. So
And, you know, if you have a 2-year cycle with somebody, yeah, I'm gonna,
exactly.
but you're like, well, we're going to fight in 12, 14, 15, 16 weeks. So I need the general prep. I need to get you in shape now. I need to build your strength and put a little muscle mass on you because you're going to lose it towards the end of camp. So we need to get that strength and muscle mass now, right?
Yeah, Olympic lifts are kind of out for me at this point.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of them at all. I got one younger guy who's got the mobility, range of motion, and he's an up and coming guy, and he's pretty good at them.
Yeah.
He's the only one, but I don't prioritize. I think there's other ways to get the same bang for your buck with low risk of injury too with those. The last time I jammed my back up was pulling a hang clean. I'm like, I'm 40 years old. I don't need to be doing this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just swing a kettlebell. How about that?
You're only 40. Huh?
43.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're well preserved 43.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's the alternative, I guess,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
does. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I appreciate your time. Your story's awesome. I got to learn some things I never knew, some tidbits behind the scenes stuff, which is why we do these things.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to come by and catch you at the PI, and we'll do a little and catch me up to speed with what you guys are doing over there too.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.